Welcome to the CMPS Annual Meeting for 2023. We're going to have a really short business meeting as reflected in the agenda that was previously sent out. We're going to be keeping the microphones off for now, but we're going to open it up later for comments and questions. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat. The first order of business is to introduce our board for 2024 and thank one of our board members who is stepping down this year. Ann Vasikas, who has served as secretary clerk for 3 years, 2 as a board member and 1 as just as a volunteer. I hope I got that right. Mm-hmm. Is retiring from her position. On top of her governance role, Anne has also served as our awards chair for Marks of Distinction for 2 years. Anne has been an all-around outstanding, conscientious, and meticulous board member and awards manager who has made many contributions to CMPS operations and decision-making. We are extremely grateful to you, Anne.
Thank you.
On behalf of all the members, I thank you and wish you the best. Would you like to make any farewell speech?
I'm not going far. You know, I'll still be a member. I hope to be able to volunteer when I can, just as my 2 granddaughters in my studio is calling for me.
Yes.
So, yep, I'll be back.
Okay, we appreciate that. And now our Vice President, Alexia Rossoff-Wilbur, will announce our 2024 board for the record.
Drum roll, please. So for 2024, our board will be the President and Acting Treasurer, Jane Robbins, Vice President and Web Administrator, me, Alexia Rossoff-Wilbur. Our Secretary now will be Colleen Jensen. Welcome, Colleen. And our Workshop Coordinator is Lorinda O'Connor. Thank you, Lorinda, for that job.
Yeah. So thank you. I'm really glad that we have 2 stellar board members, Alexia and Lorinda, returning. And to have Colleen Jensen, who has already proved herself to be invaluable as our newsletter editor, a task she's going to continue with, thank goodness, and to join our board as secretary and clerk. So in terms of our overall condition, I'm just going to give you a quick summary of 2023. You know, all my notes say 2022. I don't know why. In terms of overall condition, CMPS now has 152 active members. This is a whopping 26% over last year. Which itself was another major increase over the previous year. So we are clearly a young but growing organization. We featured the work of 21 artists on our homepage last year and posted about them on social media. So all members should always watch their email for their own invitation, because every single person will eventually become a featured member. We do random drawings for that. Our signature committee is currently jurying 11 applications for signature membership. So we expect to be welcoming some signature members, new ones, by December 1st. Financially, CMPS began the year more than $2,600 under our 2022 budget. Our 2023 budget versus actual will be done at the beginning of the year, but I do expect us to be a little over our projections. In other words, over budget rather than under budget this year. We had a beginning balance in 2023 of $14,001.08. Our current bank balance is $14,142.27. This is compared to $16,350.93 on this same date last year. So at this moment, we're a couple of $1,000s below where we were on the same date last year. This reflects a number of increases of 20% or more in costs for absolutely must-have items, such as fees we pay to show submit, venues, expenses for shows, and our membership management and website software. All of these have gone up kind of exponentially. Although we have some end-of-year expenses coming up, I expect to end the year in a similar or slightly better cash position to where we started. An important variable, though, or assumption in this is the timely payment of 2024 member dues that people renew on time. And these are due by the end of the year. CMPS is a cash-based organization, meaning we have no investments or any other assets besides our bank account. So we have to carefully monitor our cash position. So we're just going to review our year in 2022. We had 3 successful shows this past year, and a 4th, our signature show, has just opened. Pastels Plus, our very first international online exhibition, where artists combine pastel with any other medium or mediums of their choice, and was juried by Finnish artist Pirkko Mäkelä-Haapalina, showcased 79 exciting works from around the world. Our members show, which grew from last year's high to 115 pieces this year, was judged for awards in both open and emerging categories by Terry Brooks. Marks of Distinction, our national show, was again a terrific and well-attended show at 5 Sparks in Harvard, Mass, hung by Keith Dimanche, with selection juries Lorianne Signori and Javed Solomon-Poor, and awards judge Mim Brooks Fawcett of Attleboro Arts Museum. Accepted artists were from 18 states and Canada. We had 6 sales, that's 3 times more than last year, and sold all 3 silent auction paintings donated by our board. Anne, do you want to just give us a little summary of awards for MOD? Because that's a big deal.
It was 2022, we had 27 donors. In 2023, we increased that to 30 donors. We did lose a couple, but I think they were just doing, I think they're just planning on doing off-year commitments. So I expect them to be back next year. There was a 3% increase in total cash and merchandise to just under $6,800, which puts us in a very competitive place with other pastel societies and other national shows. So I am going to be giving this up. It's so well organized, not to pat myself on the back. But it is ready to go. The contact information, and I'm not going anywhere. I'd be happy to help anybody. There is a process, and most of it is email related. The big crunch comes in the fall, just when everything is coming in. So that's it.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Lorinda, you want to give us a short review of this past year's workshops, demos, and artist talks?
Hi, sure. We had a full year of online demos, artist talks, and in-person workshops. We started off in January with Dave Caphammer's demonstration of light and shadows on structure. It was wildly attended. We then in March had Betsy Payne Cook one-day workshop scheduled on textured surfaces, but unfortunately that did not run due to low enrollment. In April, we had another well-attended demonstration by Tatiana Harbachowskawa, showing her process of painting florals. After that, we had an artist talk with Terry Brooks, who was the juror of awards, and she spoke during the awards presentation of the members show. Coming up in May, also, Christine Bodnar one-day workshop ran. It was a very close call with her workshop, but we had enough people sign up for it to run, and it was Chasing the Light. Coming after that, we had a member meetup, which was well attended, and they discussed art supplies. Following that, we had scheduled a workshop with Sherry Lynn DeBrell in August. Unfortunately, due to low attendance, that did not run. In mid-September, we had a meet the board at 5 Sparks and did a gallery tour of the Marks of Distinction. And several people joined in that. It was very nice. The next workshop we ran, also something happening in September, was the workshop with Jean Tagney, her shape and form in painting the portrait, which ran. And come October, just recently, we had a great demonstration by Mike Beeman on how he painted birds, and that was full with attendance. And we also had an artist talk with Perko Michaela Hapolina, which also was very well attended. And then to wrap up our year, we're having a artist talk with Lorianne Signori, who was one of the Marks of Distinction selection jurors. So it was really a full year.
Yeah, just listening to you recount it, we did a lot.
Yeah, there was, the demos and the talks are consistently well attended.
Yes,
So,
we're going to be talking about that when we talk about the survey results. They're
Yeah.
very popular, right? Okay, thanks a lot, Lorinda. Alexia, a little review of web and media and any initiatives on member engagement.
Yeah. So our website is part of our integrated member management system. Analytics tells us that our site is visited mainly from the United States and China and Canada. Those are our top hits. The average time that a visitor stays on any web page on the internet is 53 seconds, if you can believe that. Our average engagement time is 2 minutes. So we're doing pretty well. That's actually a really long time for somebody to engage with a web page. We have the highest page visits and greatest length of time spent is, not unsurprisingly, on our show pages once they go live. People spend almost 3 whole minutes scrolling through a show page. And after that, it is our workshops and demos and events that draw visitors to the website. So a couple of reminders to those of you who visit the website, please remember to log in, because the website is integrated with our member management system. You need to log in order to access all of the members only content that we have on the website. So yes, you can see some of the website as a non-member, and it's very pretty, and we hope you explore that way. But as soon as you log in, the members only areas will become visible to you, and you will be able to do things like update your directory profile, and look at the member content like forums. We have a yard sale forum where you can swap or sell art supplies. We have information about meetups if people want to go to museums together, or meet up to paint plein air. That's a place that you can coordinate with other members to do that. Tips, that sort of thing. So those are invisible to you if you're not logged in. Make sure you log in. We also have a YouTube channel, which is where we post videos after we do demos and artist talks on Zoom. Some of our YouTube videos, for example, our show pages and any gallery tours of our national shows, are public and can be found in the search on YouTube. But anything that we do that is for members, like Artist Talks, is only accessible through the link that we send out to you. So if you want to be able to access that video, make sure you register so that we know to send you the link for it. We had fun, as Lorinda mentioned, at our last member meetup. We all got on Zoom, talked about art supplies. We probably could have done that all morning. There will be more of these member gatherings coming up in 2024, so stay tuned for that. And as always, if you have any questions or any ideas about member engagement or how to make our site better, please get in touch with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Listening to this whole review, I just have to say, I'm so happy to have the board members that I have. Thank you, Lorinda, Ann, and Alexia. So now I'm going to share my screen to give, for the record, for the members, a short overview of our survey results, which we did specifically this year. We did a survey last year, but this year's survey was specifically to ask questions to help us in planning for 2024, primarily about workshops and demos, and for like interest in potential learning activities and just learning more about our membership. So I am going to share my screen. And let me just get this presentation a little bit more organized here. Okay, so this is a very brief survey of our member survey results. The board got a larger version, but you don't need all the little details. We had a good response rate. 60% is considered a good response rate from an organizational survey. We just barely made it, but it's good, particularly for our signature members. We had 50%, 7% of our regular members responded to the survey, and 64% of our signature members. There was a question asking members to self-identify themselves as whether they were considered themselves working professional artists. In other words, this is very, keep track of it on their taxes, approaching it as their career, teaching artists and so on and so forth. And that was 26% of our respondents. Always remember that when I'm giving percentages, I'm giving the percentages of respondents, not of total membership, okay? The 74% of respondents identified as non-professionals, and there's a wide variety of self-identified, let's call it capabilities, from being at the elementary level to some who consider themselves advanced or expert, but are still non-professionals at this time. nearly 40% of our membership lives outside of Massachusetts, and that's very important to understand. We are a virtual organization, partly because we don't have any physical space from which to operate, but because we literally have members all over the country, in Canada and the UK. So Central Mass is, while 61% of our respondents, not of our members, currently live in Massachusetts, the fact that nearly 40% live elsewhere is a major factor and consideration. So I'm going to first go over this feedback on workshop and demos because it was an important part of the survey. I used a split logic on this survey. So not everyone had to answer every single question in the survey, but every one of our members who responded were asked to answer this question, both professional and non-professionals. So I think it's pretty obvious. All we have to do is look at the registrations for the demos. All members view the demos and the artist talks and the workshops, which is kind of reassuring to hear, considering how much we struggled with attendance this year to workshops. They consider them valuable parts of their membership. In other words, offering them is considered important. Professionals tend to vary workshops and demos a little bit more than non-professionals, and this is a statistically significant difference. It's high for both, but professionals tend to view workshops as more important than other members and tend to view demos and artist talks a little bit more than other members. Members care about workshops, as we just saw, but they were very difficult to fill in 2023. And that is true not only for CMPS, it has been true for everyone in the past year or so. And there are a variety of reasons for that, some of them not to do with our specific membership and some to do generally with the sort of whole pastel society world. But for our membership, the top reasons for not attending a workshop were location, 42%, which is quite high, and the actual dates. Remember, we're talking about physical in-person workshops. Interestingly, the percentage of Massachusetts residents responding that location and dates were the problem was virtually identical to that of the membership overall. In other words, it wasn't just people from out of state saying that location was a problem. I am not sure, frankly. I would have to now go back and ask follow-up questions. Why Massachusetts residents have a problem with location of our workshops. It is likely some preference for how far they're willing to drive, or for a preference for having things be extremely local, which of course is always going to be a problem when you are a virtual organization serving people who live in many, many different places, even many, many different places in Massachusetts. When asked, 37% of respondents said they would have attended one of last year's workshops had it been on Zoom with a recording. 45% weren't sure, and only 18%. It's not a small percentage, but compared to the others, 18% said no, it wouldn't have changed whether they had registered or not. there appears to be no clear appetite for longer workshops than one day. 50% would not have attended this year, had a workshop been longer, and 43% weren't sure. So, so that leaves a relatively small percentage saying, yes, they would want something longer. The upshot of this is we don't have a basis for offering something longer than a one-day workshop. Similarly, in terms of our decision-making, there was a question about whether people would prefer weekday workshops over weekend. 42% said they would, 58% said they would not. So again, depending on the number of workshops that one offers, and if your membership is very split like that, it's a little bit difficult to decide that weekday workshops are going to supplant weekend workshops, for example. So only the people who answered an early question about whether they considered themselves a professional working artist or not were asked a series of questions on their goals as artists and about possible learning opportunities that CMPS might offer. So artists who answered that they considered themselves non-professionals, regardless of their level. Remember, I showed earlier that our non-professional membership has quite a range of advancement in pastel. So only a small percentage of our non-professionals actually wish to become professional working artists, but most of our members are interested in advancing their status in the pastel world. And by their status, to some extent, I'm talking about their visibility. So they want to, many, and not these, there's 20% of artists, 21% of artists down here who express their interest as being primarily for themselves, right? For satisfaction and enjoyment. But there are many artists that did express interest in being able to compete in national shows, possibly applying for signature memberships, and so on. So these artists were then asked to rank order their interest in, let's call them development activities or types of learning opportunities beyond workshops. And of course, workshops are extremely important for any artist that wants to advance. We gave them a series of topics here, and I'm reporting here all of them, and asked them to rank order them. I'm sorry, not to rank order them, but to rate them, rate their level of interest. You know, this is from not at all interested to very interested. And this is the rank order of how things came out. There is some internal inconsistency in these responses with some other responses from non-professionals earlier about their goals, but that's okay. That can be dealt with. We are going to be using this information in planning activities for next year. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Satisfaction with CMPS is high, sometimes extremely high. Areas that were particularly noted are quality of communication, quality of the offerings or the value for money. As noted before, I don't know if you saw it on the slide, more than one person commented how the demos alone were worth the price of membership. People like the quality of our shows and think that we are well organized and run professionally. So it was very gratifying to us as a board to learn that. I will say, however, that, you know, the last question on the survey was for volunteers, and it yielded offers from only 2% of respondents. We understand that a number of our members, especially some of our signature members, are already working on other boards or other art associations. And we have members who work full time. But the volunteerism is an issue for CMPS, as it is with other nonprofits. And I'm going to just talk about that briefly again later. So I think that's the last slide. Yes, I'm going to stop sharing here. And just talk a little bit about what we are thinking about for 2024, largely based on these survey results. We are going to be planning, I mean, these numbers could change slightly, but at the moment, we are planning one in-person workshop and see how that goes this year. Location to be determined, person to be determined, but it is likely to be somebody who is well-known, but who is not so saturated. And by that, we mean hasn't given so many workshops that everybody's already taken from them. And so one in-person workshop and probably 2 online or Zoom workshops, because there is a pretty clear appetite for that. The benefit of an online workshop is location doesn't matter, date doesn't matter, right? And those are our 2 major problems. We are going to continue to organize Zoom demos and artist talks for our members, and they will be free. Non-members are able to attend these demos and artist talks, and through active promotion on social media, we have been successful at covering the cost of our demos and artist talks, not in every case, but in several cases this year. So, because we charge a very small amount to non-members, like $15 for an artist talk or $20 for a demo. And of course, they come with videos, recorded videos for a couple of weeks. So there are a lot of people who are very willing to pay that small fee to see demos from some of these well-known artists, or to hear an artist talk from them. So we're going to be having more, and our first one, as Lorinda mentioned, I think is Javed Solomon-Poor in January. We are taking the survey feedback that I just reviewed with you on interests by non-professionals for additional learning, and we are going to be working on some sort of program for you. That will be forthcoming early in the year, once we have finished our planning with what that program will entail. Our first member meetup of the year, and I'm just going to mention this now, Alexia, because I've put the event online, is a book discussion group of a book called Color and Light, a guide for the realist painter by James Gurney. This is a very well-known book. And this will be hosted by Alexia on February 9th at 10:30 a.m. Registration is open. We won't start promoting it until, sometime early next year, but this will go out in, letters and stuff so the members can sign up. And anybody interested might even think about getting this book out of their library in advance, although it's not necessary. So a reminder to everybody, I want this on the record, to check and read your email and make us a safe sender and follow us on Instagram and Facebook so that people don't miss important information. There literally were a couple of comments in the survey saying that they did not know that we had workshops. Now, what can I say, right? We're constantly promoting these, sending out emails, putting it on social media. So people need to actually read their email or check it or make sure it's not going to spam. And one way to make sure that they're getting email is to go to our website. Everybody has a profile. And on their profile, they can indicate their email preferences. And it is possible that some people may have inadvertently said they don't want to receive any emails because they control that. I can't go in and make sure everybody, I can see that everything was delivered. I can see what was opened, but I cannot see whether an individual, actually I can see if I go member by member, but I can't turn somebody's email preferences back on if they are off. So that is something that everybody should do. Finally, I want to pick up on the idea of volunteers and general support and remind you of a few things. So I am going to share my screen again. Hold on. Because it's just easier to have this all, all written down. It's just 2 slides. Reminders. Our signature show of, let's see, how many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of our signature members, not all of our signature members, but 9 of them, is now open. It opened yesterday at the Groton Public Library, and it runs to December 17th. The show has several pieces from each artist, as well as a bunch of small works priced for holiday giving. There is it's a really nice show. The reception is Sunday, December 3rd from 1 to 3 p.m. I am going to be there. If anybody can come to see the show, we'll be taking sales there, and Alexia is in the process of putting a little store up just for the signature show. Dues renewal notices are going to start going out after Thanksgiving. As I mentioned, the timely renewal is really important to our cash flow. So please, everyone, renew by expiration date, which is December 31st. Lorinda mentioned we have an artist talk with Lorianne on December 10th. That's our last big event of the year. Coming up before we know it is our 2nd annual Pastels Plus exhibit. It is going to be open for submission on January 5th. We're hoping that the prospectus will be ready by early December. That's just a question of how quickly we can tie down a juror. The prospectus is essentially ready. We just need to know who our juror is going to be. And then our first event, as I mentioned, is with Javed Solomonpour on January 13th. So I think that I'm going to see if, yeah, I missed this slide. I want to talk about volunteering and support before we end. We have a new volunteer, Jeff Staniford. Yay, Jeff, where are you? Wave at us.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
He's our new volunteer for social media. Jeff has a PhD in computer science and has taught at UK universities, and he's like a perfect person to take this over. So we're quite thrilled. We do have some other open positions. I'm sounding like I'm beating a dead horse here. The treasurer position is still open, right? I have been the treasurer since I took over as president. That's okay, it's fine, but that position is open and it's not that hard. And everything is organized and I can train somebody. So just to let you know, that's still open. Another position, which is a new position for the board, is a development position, primarily to be grant writer. I just don't have time to do that. I keep trying to find the time and can't. So this position is open and we invite interest on that. Anne, as we talked about earlier, is leaving her role not only as secretary, but also as awards chair. And that is another position that is extremely well organized and ready to hand over for someone else.
Plus it's fun. Plus
What?
it's fun.
And it's fun. Yeah.
You meet an awful lot of interesting people in the different companies that support our passions.
Yes.
So at conferences, I'm running into people that I've only known via email. So
that's
it's
great.
great.
And I was going to say that this is actually a great opportunity also to just learn generally about the pastel world, right?
Right.
Because I mean, it's a lot of companies and other societies that are donating to us, and it's really good way to make connections.
Yep.
And then just a general shout out, we need general help for shows on engagement and event assistance. There are people who certainly will come and give us an hour or two of their time on an ad hoc basis. But we could use a little more sort of consistent help on some of these other things. I do have a possibility for someone to possibly handle the physical show for us at MOD next year, which would be a huge thing for me because I don't live in Massachusetts. So I like put 1,000 miles on my car driving back up there during the times that, you know, when the show is on. And then the last thing is, this year for, you know, giving season, which is going to start up around Thanksgiving, we're looking for support for show awards. And this is for all shows, including the member show, you know, Pastels Plus, not just for MOD. Award money is very important to the stability and growth of CMPS. And it helps us provide other benefits to our members, other benefits that our members want, if we don't have to use our cash so much, you know, for awards. Excuse me. There's going to be an opportunity for named awards. You know, everyone's familiar with, you know, the Pastel Society of New Hampshire Award or whatever that's a named award. And those will start at $100, and for a little more money, you can possibly have an award like our current 4 category awards that we have. However, all amounts are welcome. Anything you can give, and you can specifically put that toward awards. I just got a small donation for awards from one of our members. And, you know, this is a really sort of satisfying thing. And we always want to have more awards for things like the member show. And now for our new show, Pastels Plus. And so this would help enable us to do it. So please look for this letter and think about it for us. So I am going to, or maybe Alexa, you could for me, could you, or everybody, can you just unmute yourselves? The meeting is technically over. We've all said what we need to say for our annual report. Does anybody have any questions? Any comments?
Jane, are you finished sharing your screen? Then we would get.
Thank you.
And
This way we can see everybody better. Thank you so much. Yeah. Questions, comments?
I'd like to thank Jeff
Yeah.
and Colleen for stepping up and helping out.
Yes.
Very
Definitely.
exciting.
Yeah.
gonna
And
be a
welcome.
Thanks. It's nice to be a part.
Good.
It's a nice group.
Okay. Anything else? Don't be shy. Okay. If
Yeah.
so, we can.
I'm just going to put in a plug very quickly for
Yeah.
the buddy system. When you decide to come to a CMPS meeting, whether it's virtual or in person, bring a friend.
Yeah.
Buddy system, buddy up. You know, if there are 10 of us who are planning to be here, we each bring a friend, then we've got 20. So
Yeah, and I'm going to put in a plug to our members. Come to our shows, not, you know, come to our shows, come to our events. That is, you know, we're virtual. The only times we can see each other and talk to each other and meet with each other really is either on Zoom, but in person, it's our events. So, you know, we didn't have a single member attend our board meetup and gallery talk. It was all public.
And that was really nice, I thought.
It was really nice. And if
I
members had
enjoyed
come,
it.
people could have just met each other, you know.
Yep.
So, you know, we're going to be doing things, but they're only as successful as the people who attend, right? So, okay. From all of the board, happy Thanksgiving to everyone and happy holidays. You'll be hearing us, but probably not so much until next year. So good. Okay. Everybody ready to say goodbye?
Same to you.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Happy
Bye.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.